I died at 25, crushed by a falling stage light at a comic convention. The last thing I saw was my phone screen showing chapter 247 of Destined Omega, where the villain Alpha Kalen Voss torments the protagonist Omega Ryan during his heat cycle. Everyone hated Kalen. I hated Kalen. Then I woke up as Kalen Voss. The mirror showed someone else entirely. Sharp silver eyes, black hair, a face that could launch 1,000 fan edits. My hands were bigger, stronger. The scent in the air felt different, richer. I could smell everything: fear, desire, the coffee brewing 3 rooms away. "Young master, the Omega you requested has arrived," a butler said through the door. My blood turned cold. I knew this scene. Chapter 43. Kalen was about to trap Ryan in his estate during heat, planning to force a bond that would ruin the Omega's life. The original Kalen saw Ryan as a possession, a toy to break. I stumbled to my feet, heart racing. The ornate bedroom spun around me. Rich burgundy curtains, expensive furniture, everything dripping with old money corruption. This was real. Somehow impossibly real. I had to think fast. In the novel, today's events set Ryan on a dark path. The protagonist becomes bitter, mistrustful. It takes 200 chapters and the love of the true male lead before Ryan heals. And Kalen? He dies at chapter 389, alone and despised. The door opened before I could plan anything. Guards dragged someone inside. A young man with honey-colored hair and terrified amber eyes. Ryan. He wore simple clothes, too thin for the spring cold. His wrists had red marks where the guards gripped too hard. "Leave us," I heard myself say. My voice came out deeper than expected, carrying alpha command that made the guards instantly obey. Ryan backed against the wall, trembling. His scent hit me like a wave, sweet orange blossoms mixed with fear and the beginning heat. Every instinct in this new body screamed at me to approach, to claim, to dominate. I stepped backward instead. "I'm not going to hurt you," I said, keeping my voice soft. "I made a mistake bringing you here." Ryan's eyes widened with confusion. What? This was wrong. I moved to the closet, pulling out a thick coat. "Your heat is starting. You need to be somewhere safe, somewhere you choose. Do you have family? Friends?" I don't understand." Ryan's voice shook. "Everyone said you would." "I know what everyone said." I held out the coat, careful not to approach too quickly. "I know what I'm supposed to be, but I'm choosing something different. Please take this." "Where can I bring you?" Ryan stared at me like I'd grown a second head. In the novel, Kalen's cruelty here was legendary. Fans wrote 1,000-word essays about what a monster he was. And now this Omega, this beautiful scared person, couldn't process basic kindness. "My grandmother," Ryan whispered finally. "She lives in the South District. But you paid gold for me. The agency won't." "I'll handle the agency." I pulled out my phone, texting the driver. "I'll tell them it was a mistake. You don't owe anyone anything." "Why?" Ryan's voice cracked. A tear rolled down his cheek. "Alphas don't just... Nobody just..." I wanted to tell him the truth. That I wasn't really Kalen. That I came from a world where I'd read his story and cried over his pain. That I knew exactly what this moment cost him in the original timeline. Instead, I said simply, "Because you deserve better than this. Everyone does." The heat was getting worse. I could see Ryan fighting it, his body betraying him with trembles and flushed skin. We needed to move fast. "Can you walk?" I asked. Ryan nodded, though his legs shook. I kept my distance as we moved through the mansion, ignoring the shocked stares of staff. Nobody expected this. Nobody expected Kalen Voss to walk an Omega out the front door, to gently help him into a car, to give the driver an address in the poor district. As the car pulled away, Ryan looked back at me through the window. His expression held confusion, wonder, and something else. Something that made my new heart beat faster. I changed the story. Now I just had to survive what came next. 3 days later, my phone wouldn't stop ringing. "Have you lost your mind?" My father's voice could crack diamonds. "Do you know what the Silverstone family is saying? You paid premium gold for their Omega and then just released him?" I held the phone away from my ear. He's a person, not a pet. He's an omega, a commodity, and now the entire upper society thinks the Voss family alpha is weak. I hung up. Then I blocked the number. The thing about transmigrating into a villain's body, nobody prepared you for the villain's entire life trying to drag you back. Business partners called to discuss my concerning behavior. Old friends, Kalen's friends, I reminded myself, invited me to clubs where omegas were treated like party favors. My inbox overflowed with invitations to traditional alpha gatherings that made my skin crawl. I ignored them all. Instead, I sat in a small coffee shop in the South District, nursing my third cup and watching rain streak down the windows. The shop was nothing like the places Kalen usually frequented. No gold fixtures, no dress code, no alphas strutting around flashing their marks. Just warm lighting, mismatched chairs, and the smell of fresh bread mixing with coffee. The door chimed. I looked up. Ryan stood in the doorway, shaking rain from his hair. He wore a soft yellow sweater and jeans, looking nothing like the terrified person from 3 days ago. His eyes found mine, and for a moment, neither of us moved. Then he walked over. "May I sit? Please." I gestured to the empty chair, trying to keep my voice steady. Ryan sat down carefully, ordering tea from the passing server. We stayed quiet until his cup arrived, steam curling up between us. "I came to say thank you," Ryan said finally. "Properly. My grandmother told me I should. You don't owe me thanks for basic decency." "That's where you're wrong." Ryan's amber eyes met mine directly. "In this world, what you did wasn't basic. It was extraordinary." I felt heat creep up my neck. "How are you feeling?" "After the heat. Better. Grandmother has suppressants and a safe room. I managed well enough." He paused. "No thanks to the system that forced me there in the first place." There was steel in his voice. The novel never showed this side of Ryan early on, this quiet strength, this anger at injustice. It only emerged after hundreds of chapters of suffering. "The agency came after me," Ryan continued, "demanding I return their payment since I didn't fulfill the contract. My grandmother chased them out with a broom." A small smile played on his lips. "She's 70 but fierce. Send me the bill. Whatever they want. I didn't come here for money." Ryan's tone sharpened. "I came because you confused me. I spent 3 days trying to understand why an alpha, why you specifically, would do what you did. And did you figure it out?" "No." Ryan leaned forward. "Everyone knows who you are. Kalen Voss, heir to the Voss fortune, notorious for collecting omegas like trophies. But you didn't act like him. You acted like... Like who?" "Like someone who saw me as human." The words hung between us. Outside, thunder rumbled. The coffee shop felt smaller suddenly, warmer. "What if I told you I'm trying to be different?" I said carefully. "That I don't want to be the person everyone expects." Ryan studied me for a long moment. "Then I'd say that's the hardest thing anyone can do. Especially an alpha. Especially you." "Why especially me?" "Because your entire world is designed to tell you you're right. Every system, every tradition, every law supports alphas treating omegas as lesser. Fighting that means fighting everything you've ever known." He was right, of course. The Omegaverse worked on a strict hierarchy, alphas at the top, betas in the middle, omegas at the bottom. The original Kalen never questioned it. Why would he? He benefited from every broken part. "What if the system is wrong?" I asked. Ryan's eyes widened slightly. "Then you'd be the first alpha I've ever met who thought so." "Not the first. Just the first you've met." A real smile crossed Ryan's face then. Small but genuine. Transformed him. Suddenly I understood why the novel's male lead fell so hard. Ryan's smile was like sunlight breaking through storm clouds. "I work here," Ryan said, changing the subject. "At this coffee shop. Started 2 days ago. The owner doesn't care about designations, just whether you can make good espresso." "Can you?" "I'm learning." He laughed. "I burned my first 3 attempts. But the owner says I have potential." We talked for another hour. Ryan told me about his grandmother, about the small apartment they shared, about his dreams of studying art if he could ever afford university. I told him carefully edited truths about wanting to change, about feeling trapped in a life that didn't fit. I didn't tell him about being from another world, that I'd read his story, that I knew in the original timeline, he suffered for 200 chapters before finding peace. When Ryan finally stood to leave, he paused. "Kaylin, can I call you that? Please. Thank you again. For seeing me. Really seeing me." He hesitated, then added, "If you meant what you said about being different, this city needs more alphas like that." He left, and I sat alone with cold coffee and a strange warmth in my chest. I changed one scene, but the story was huge, sprawling, full of plot points I barely remembered. What else needed changing? What other disasters was I supposed to prevent? My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Noticed your little Omega pet got away. Shame. We're having a gathering next week. Plenty more where he came from. Don't go soft on us, Voss." I blocked the number. Then I ordered another coffee and started planning. If I was going to survive in this world, I needed allies. Real ones. And I needed to dismantle the system that hurt people like Ryan. One coffee shop conversation at a time, apparently. The Voss family mansion felt like a prison. Every hallway echoed with expectations. Every room dripped with traditions I despised. I'd been avoiding my father for a week, but eventually, he cornered me in his study. "Sit." He didn't look up from his paperwork. I remained standing. Small rebellion, but it mattered. Father's eyes lifted, steel gray and cold. "You've been refusing engagements, ignoring business partners, living in that pathetic South District apartment you think I don't know about." My heart skipped. I'd rented a small place near Ryan's coffee shop, somewhere I could breathe without the mansion's weight crushing me. I didn't know Father's spies had found it. "I'm 24, I said evenly. "I can live where I choose. You're a Voss. You live where the family needs you." He stood, moving around the desk like a predator. "And right now, the family needs you to stop this embarrassing Omega rights phase and remember who you are. What if who I am isn't who you want?" His hand cracked across my face before I could react. The slap echoed. My cheek burned. "You are my son," Father said quietly, dangerously. "You carry our name, our blood, our legacy. I won't watch you throw it away for some idealistic nonsense about Omega equality." I tasted copper. "You're right. I am your son. But that doesn't mean I'm you. Get out. You have 1 week to come to your senses. After that, I'll arrange a proper bonding with the Silverstone Omega, or another one if you've ruined that option. Either way, you'll fulfill your duty." I left before I said something irreversible. The mansion felt smaller, darker. I grabbed my coat and keys, ignoring the whispers from staff who'd definitely heard everything. The drive to the South District took 20 minutes. I parked outside Ryan's coffee shop, hands shaking on the steering wheel. Through the window, I could see him laughing with a customer, his whole face bright. He looked happy, safe. My phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number again. "Your father asked us to remind you where Omegas belong. Check the news." Dread filled my stomach. I opened the news app. Omega rights protest turns violent. 30 arrested after peaceful demonstration shut down by Alpha police force. Several Omegas hospitalized. The photos showed chaos. Omegas with signs about equal rights, education access, medical freedom. Alpha police in riot gear. Blood on pavement. I remembered this. Chapter 90-something. A background event that radicalized several minor characters. But I'd been so focused on Ryan's storyline that I'd forgotten when it happened. I rushed into the coffee shop. Ryan looked up, smile fading when he saw my expression. "What's wrong?" "The protest. The Omega Rights March. Were you?" "No." Ryan wiped down the counter, but his hands trembled. "My friend Elena was there. She just texted. She's okay, but barely. They used force suppressors on them. Do you know what those do to Omegas?" I knew. Force suppressors were supposedly for calming aggressive Omegas during heat, but in reality, they were weapons. They caused excruciating pain, sometimes permanent damage to an Omega's reproductive system. This is because of me, I said. My father. He's sending a message. Ryan's eyes widened. What? I told him everything. My father's ultimatum, the arranged bonding threat, the warning message. Ryan listened silently, his face growing paler. You should stay away from me, Ryan finally said. If your family sees me as the reason you're changing. No. I grabbed his hand without thinking. His skin was warm, and I felt the connection like electricity. I'm not letting them win. I'm not letting them hurt you or anyone else. You're one alpha. They're an entire system. Then we build a different system. Ryan stared at me. You're serious. Completely. That's insane. You know that, right? What you're suggesting, revolution basically, it could get you killed. Get us both killed. I know. Ryan pulled his hand free, but gently. Why? Why risk everything for this? For Omegas you don't even know. How could I explain? That I'd read his story, watched him suffer for hundreds of chapters? That I knew exactly where this path led if I didn't change it? That somewhere between transmigrating and meeting him, I'd started to care about more than just surviving? Because it's right, I said simply. And because you deserve a world where alpha families can't threaten you. Where you can protest without getting hospitalized. Where you're seen as equal, not property. Tears welled in Ryan's eyes. No one's ever. Alphas don't just. I'm not most alphas. No. Ryan agreed softly. You're really not. The coffee shop door chimed. 3 large men entered wearing expensive suits. Alpha enforcers, I realized. My father's men. Kalen Voss, the leader said. Your father requests your immediate return. Tell my father I decline. It wasn't a request. They moved forward. I stepped in front of Ryan instinctively. You don't want to do this. Actually, we do. The leader smiled coldly. We get paid extra for difficult extractions. And we were told to remind the Omega what happens when they forget their place. Ryan tensed behind me. I felt his fear scent spike. Bitter almonds cutting through orange blossoms. Touch him and you'll regret it, I said, letting alpha command leak into my voice. The enforcers hesitated. Command was tricky. Stronger alphas could resist it, but it still made them uncomfortable. We stood in tense silence, the coffee shop frozen around us. Then the owner emerged from the back. She was a beta woman in her 50s, holding a phone. I've called the police. You have 30 seconds to leave before I press send. Police won't help an Omega, the enforcer sneered. No, but they'll help me. I'm a registered business owner with security cameras showing 3 men threatening my employee. Get out. The enforcers exchanged glances. Finally, they backed toward the door. You're making this harder than it needs to be, Kalen. Your father won't forget. Good. I hope he doesn't. They left. I exhaled slowly, tension draining. Thank you, I told the owner. She shrugged. I don't like bullies. But Ryan, honey, maybe take a few days off. This might get worse before it gets better. Ryan shook his head. No, I'm tired of hiding. If Kalen's going to fight, I'll fight too. Ryan, don't. His amber eyes blazed. You stood in front of me. You protected me. Now it's my turn to choose. And I choose to stand with you. Something shifted between us. The air felt charged, full of possibility and danger. This wasn't the novel anymore. We were writing something new. My phone rang. My father. I answered. Yes. You've made your choice then. Very well. I'll see you next week at the Alpha Summit. Let's discuss your future publicly. Shall we? He hung up. The Alpha Summit, where the most powerful alphas in the country gathered to discuss laws, business, and maintaining their control over society. If my father wanted to make an example of me there, we have 1 week, I told Ryan. 1 week to figure out how to survive a room full of alphas who want to maintain the status quo. Ryan's hand found mine. Then we better start planning. The apartment I'd rented was small but functional. 1 bedroom, a living space that doubled as kitchen and planning room, and a bathroom that barely fit 1 person. Right now, it held 6. Ryan sat on the couch, flanked by his friend Elena, a fierce beta woman with short purple hair and a still-healing black eye from the protest. Next to them perched Min, a quiet alpha who ran an underground Omega shelter, and his bonded mate Taro, an Omega who'd escaped a trafficking ring 3 years ago. The last person surprised me most. Dr. Yuki Chun, an elderly beta scientist who'd published groundbreaking research on Omega biology that demolished most natural hierarchy arguments. She'd been blacklisted from academic institutions for decades. So, Dr. Chun said, adjusting her glasses, you want to challenge the Alpha Summit, publicly argue for Omega equality, in front of 200 of the most powerful traditional alphas in the country. That's the plan, I confirmed. It's suicide. It's necessary. Dr. Chun smiled. Good. I like you. You're stupid but well-meaning. That's exactly what we need. Elena laughed. She means that as a compliment. I do, Dr. Chun agreed. Smart people calculate odds and give up. Stupid people charge ahead and sometimes change the world. Thanks, I said. Ryan squeezed my hand. We'd been doing that a lot lately. Casual touches, fingers intertwining. Not a bond, not claiming, just connection. It made my heart race every time. The summit runs 3 days, Min explained. First day is public speeches. Second day is closed business sessions. Third day is the bonding ceremony, where alphas show off their new Omega bonds. That's where they'll expect you, Taro added quietly, with an Omega, to prove you've returned to traditional values. Instead, Kalen will give a speech, Ryan said, about Omega rights, about system change. They'll laugh him off the stage, Elena said bluntly. Or worse. Not if we have evidence, Dr. Chun interjected. She pulled out a thick folder. 30 years of research. Proof that the biological hierarchy is manufactured, not natural. Proof that suppressants are deliberately addictive to keep Omegas dependent. Proof that alpha aggression is socialized, not genetic. I stared at the documents. This could change everything. It could, if anyone listened. But they won't. Not from an old beta woman they already discredited. Dr. Chun looked at me intently. But they might listen to a Voss. One of their own turning against them with evidence they can't ignore. They'll call it fake, Min warned. Let them try. I have DNA samples, brain scans, hormone analysis from thousands of test subjects. All peer-reviewed, all replicated by independent labs outside the country. Dr. Chun smiled sharply. I've spent 30 years preparing for this moment. The question is, are you prepared to be the voice? I looked around the room. Elena with her bruised face but fierce eyes. Min and Taro holding hands, survivors supporting each other. Ryan watching me with trust one didn't deserve. Dr. Chun offering her life's work. What if I mess this up? I asked. What if I make things worse? You might, Ryan said softly. But doing nothing definitely makes things worse. At least this way we tried. Besides, Elena added with a grin, if you fail spectacularly, you'll radicalize a whole new generation of Omegas. Sometimes the revolution needs martyrs. That's not comforting. It's not meant to be. It's just true. We spent the next 3 hours planning. Dr. Chun explained her research in detail. Min provided insights into how the alpha power structure worked, who influenced who, which families hated each other, where potential cracks existed. Elena talked about the Omega Underground Network, groups working quietly to help Omegas escape bad situations, providing education, medical care, and safe houses. I had no idea this existed. The novel never mentioned it. We're small, Elena admitted. Underfunded, always one raid away from shutdown. But we're growing. Every Omega you save, every alpha who turns away from tradition, it adds up. How many Omegas need saving? I asked. The room went quiet. Finally, Taro spoke, his voice barely above a whisper. All of us, every single one. Because until the system changes, none of us are truly safe. The weight of that truth settled over me. In my old world, I'd read about injustice. Here I was drowning in it. Every Omega lived with the knowledge that laws, tradition, and biology itself were supposedly stacked against them. Except it wasn't biology. It was lies. Dr. Chen's research proved it. "I'll do it," I said. "Whatever it takes. I'll give the speech." Ryan's hand tightened on mine. "We'll do it. Together." "Ryan, you don't have to." "Yes, I do. Because I'm tired of hiding. I'm tired of being quiet while alphas decide my fate." His amber eyes blazed. "If you're going to stand up there and fight for us, I'll stand beside you. Let them see an Omega who refuses to bow. They might hurt you. They already hurt me. Every day I live in this system, they hurt me. At least this way I hurt back." Dr. Chun nodded approvingly. Spoken like someone who understands revolution isn't polite. We worked late into the night. Dr. Chun helped me craft a speech that balanced scientific evidence with emotional appeal. Elena coached me on speaking techniques, how to project confidence, how to hold the room's attention. Min explained Alpha Summit protocol, when I could speak, how to request the floor, which insults I could weather and which required response. Taro mostly stayed quiet, but around midnight, he approached me. "Can I show you something?" He rolled up his sleeve. Scars covered his inner arm. Bite marks, burn marks, cuts that hadn't healed cleanly. "This is what happens when you're property. When someone thinks they own you. When the system says your pain doesn't matter." I felt sick. "I'm sorry." "Don't be sorry. Be angry. Use that anger." Taro's dark eyes met mine. "Because polite speeches won't change things. You need righteous fury. You need to make them uncomfortable. Make them see what they pretend doesn't exist." He was right. The original Kalen was loud, aggressive, violent, all the negative alpha stereotypes. But maybe I could channel that energy differently. Not to hurt, but to protect. Not to dominate, but to disrupt. Around 2 a.m., Elena and Min left. Dr. Chun packed up her research with promises to prepare additional materials. Taro hugged Ryan before leaving, whispering something that made Ryan smile. Then it was just us. Me and Ryan in my tiny apartment, exhaustion settling in. "You should go home," I said. "It's late. Grandmother's visiting her sister tonight. I have the apartment to myself." Ryan paused. "Can I stay here? I don't want to be alone." Every nerve in my body went on alert. "Stay here." "Nothing. I don't mean." Ryan's cheeks flushed. "Just sleep. On the couch. I feel safer near you." My heart did something complicated. "You can take the bed. I'll sleep on the couch." "Kalen. Please. I'll feel better knowing you're comfortable." Ryan studied me for a long moment. "You really are different from other alphas. Is that good?" "It's confusing, and wonderful, and terrifying." He moved closer. "Because I'm starting to trust you, really trust you, and trust is dangerous for Omegas. I won't betray that trust. You say that now, but the summit will test you. They'll offer you everything: money, power, acceptance, if you just stop fighting. Will you still choose Omegas then? Will you still choose me?" The question hung between us. In the novel, Kalen always chose power. Every time. The protagonist Ryan learned not to trust alphas through painful, repeated betrayals. But I wasn't that Kalen. And this wasn't that story anymore. "Yes," I said simply. "I'll choose you. Always." Ryan's eyes glistened. Then, before I could react, he hugged me. His face pressed against my chest, his orange blossom scent surrounding us. I froze, afraid to move, afraid to break this moment. "Thank you," Ryan whispered, "for seeing me, for choosing this path, for being brave enough to be different." I hugged him back carefully. "Thank you for trusting me. I know how much that costs you." We stood like that for several heartbeats. Then Ryan pulled back, wiping his eyes. Okay. I'm gonna bed before I cry more. Good night, Kalen." "Good night, Ryan." He disappeared into the bedroom. I settled on the couch, pulling a thin blanket over myself. Sleep didn't come easily. My mind spun with plans, worries, possibilities. In 5 days, I'd stand before the Alpha Summit. I'd challenge everything they believed. I'd risk everything I had, which admittedly wasn't much anymore, since my father had basically disowned me. But I had allies now. I had purpose. I had research that could change minds. And I had Ryan, sleeping peacefully in the next room, trusting me with something precious. Couldn't fail. Wouldn't fail. The revolution started in 5 days. 3 days before the summit, my father made his move. I woke to pounding on my apartment door. Before I could react, Ryan emerged from the bedroom, his hair messy from sleep, wearing one of my oversized shirts. His eyes went wide as the door burst open. Father strode in with 4 security guards. His gaze moved from me to Ryan to the clearly slept-in couch, and his expression turned murderous. So it's true. You're living with an Omega. Unclaimed, unbonded, completely inappropriate. Father's voice could freeze fire. I'd hoped the rumors were exaggerated. Get out of my apartment, I said coldly. This apartment belongs to the Voss family trust. Everything you have belongs to me. Father moved closer. I came to give you one last chance. Denounce this Omega equality nonsense. Attend the summit properly. Bond with an appropriate Omega from a good family. Or I'll destroy you. You can't destroy what you don't own. Can't I? Father smiled. I've already spoken to your old friends. They're prepared to testify that you've been mentally unstable, possibly influenced by Omega pheromones. With enough evidence, I can have you declared unfit. Strip your inheritance. Commit you to treatment. Ryan gasped. You can't. Don't speak, Omega. This doesn't concern you. Father didn't even look at him. Everything concerns him, I said. And you won't touch me. I'm an adult. I make my own choices. Choices have consequences. Father pulled out his phone, showing me a photo. Dr. Chen's lab, destroyed. Equipment smashed. Research papers burning. My blood ran cold. What did you do? I ensured that any embarrassing evidence against alpha biology couldn't surface at the summit. The doctor is currently in custody for suspected fraud. Her research is being discredited as we speak. You bastard. I'm a Voss. We protect our interests. Father's eyes narrowed. Now you'll come home, prepare your proper summit speech, and forget this ridiculous rebellion, or everyone you've involved gets hurt. The doctor, the underground shelter that Beta Alpha runs, the purple-haired Beta who organized the protest, and especially this Omega. Father finally looked at Ryan. Such a pretty thing. Unusual coloring. I imagine many alphas would pay well for him at auction if he were properly trained. Ryan went pale. I moved between them instinctively. Don't you dare. Then come home. We stared at each other. All my planning, all Dr. Chen's research, everything I'd hoped to say at the summit gone. Father had systematically eliminated every advantage while I'd been too busy preparing to notice him preparing. I need time to think, I said finally. You have until tonight. I'll expect you at the mansion for dinner. Come alone. Father headed toward the door, then paused. Oh, and Kalen? If you try anything foolish at the summit, I'll ensure this Omega's agency contract is enforced. With interest. He'll spend the rest of his life paying off debt in ways I'm sure his grandmother wouldn't approve of. They left. The apartment felt violated, smaller. Ryan sank onto the couch, shaking. He destroyed Dr. Chen's lab, I said numbly. All that research. Years of work. Is she okay? I don't know. I tried calling. The number went straight to voicemail. Then I tried Min's same thing. Elena answered but sounded terrified. They came to my apartment, Elena whispered. Said they'd charge me with inciting riots if I didn't stop activist work. Kalen, I'm sorry. I can't help anymore. They threatened my family. It's okay. I understand. No, you don't. Her voice cracked. We were so close. For the first time, we had a chance to change things. And they crushed us like always. She hung up. I stood there with a dead phone, feeling the weight of failure. You should go to him, Ryan said quietly. Your father. What? Make peace. Save yourself. This was always going to fail. Ryan's voice was flat, emotionless. Alphas always win. The system always wins. I was stupid to hope. Don't say that. It's true though. Ryan looked at me with tired eyes. You tried. That's more than any other alpha has done. But you can't fight the entire world. And I won't let you destroy yourself trying to save me. Ryan, go to your father. Give your proper summit speech. Bond with whoever he chooses. Live your life. Ryan stood up. I'll be fine. Omegas always survive somehow. He started toward the bedroom to gather his things. Something in me snapped. No. Ryan turned. What? No. I'm not giving up. I'm not abandoning you or this fight. I moved to my laptop, opening files. Father destroyed Dr. Chen's physical research, but she sent me digital copies. Everything. Backed up in 3 different cloud servers. Hope flickered in Ryan's eyes. Really? Really? And he can threaten my friends, but he can't stop me from speaking. Once I have that microphone at the summit, I can say whatever I want. He'll retaliate. Let him. I'll speak truth. The other alphas can choose what to do with it. Ryan crossed the room, grabbing my arms. Kalen, listen to me. If you do this, if you really challenge them publicly, you'll lose everything. Your family, your money, your position. You might even face criminal charges. Is that really worth it? I looked at him. His amber eyes, his honey hair catching morning light. His face showing fear and hope and something else. Something deeper. You're worth it, I said. Every Omega who's been hurt by this system is worth it. And maybe I lose everything, but at least I'll lose it fighting for something that matters. Ryan's eyes filled with tears. You're impossible. I'm stubborn. You're going to get hurt. Probably. You're definitely going to make me fall in love with you at this rate. The words hung in the air. Ryan's eyes widened, realizing what he'd said. I stopped breathing. I didn't mean, that is, I meant. Ryan stumbled over words. His cheeks flushed pink. Did you mean it? I asked softly. Ryan bit his lip. I don't know. Maybe. Is that insane? We barely know each other. And you're an alpha? I'm an omega. And everything about this is complicated and dangerous and… I kissed him. It wasn't planned. I just needed him to stop spiraling. Needed to show him what words couldn't express. My lips pressed against his gently, carefully, asking permission. For a heartbeat, Ryan froze. Then he kissed back. His taste was sweet orange blossoms and something uniquely him. His hands came up to my chest, clutching my shirt. I cupped his face gently, keeping the kiss soft, respectful, full of promise. When we broke apart, we were both breathing hard. That was… Ryan started. Too much. I worried. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have. Perfect. That was perfect. Ryan laughed, the sound breaking tension. You really are completely different from other alphas. Is that good? It's everything. He leaned his forehead against mine. Okay, if you're fighting, I'm fighting. If you're speaking truth at the summit, I'll stand beside you. Whatever happens next, we face it together. Together, I agreed. We spent the rest of the day preparing. I refined my speech, incorporating Dr. Chen's digital research. Ryan helped me practice delivery, pointing out when I sounded too angry or too apologetic. You need to sound certain, he said. Like you know you're right and you're just informing them of facts. Not asking permission, not apologizing. Just stating truth. We ordered takeout for lunch. Practiced more. Made backup plans for if things went wrong at the summit. Contacted a few journalists who might be sympathetic, sending them copies of the research in case I didn't get to speak. Around dinner time, my phone rang. Father, you're not here, he said coldly. No, you're choosing this path then, openly defying me. Yes. Silence stretched. Then Father said quietly, you'll regret this. I promise you that. He hung up. I looked at Ryan, who'd heard the whole thing. Last chance to run, I told him. I don't run anymore, Ryan replied. I'm done running. That night we stayed up late. Not planning, we'd done all we could. Just talking. Ryan told me about his childhood. His dreams before the world taught him to dream smaller. I told him about my old life, carefully editing out the transmigration part, just saying I'd had a revelation that changed everything. Do you believe people can really change? Ryan asked as midnight approached. I have to, because I changed. Or I'm trying to, at least. You're doing more than trying. Ryan shifted closer on the couch. You're actually doing it. That's rare. Maybe more people would do it if they had a reason. What's your reason? I looked at him. This brave, beautiful person who'd survived so much and still chose hope. You're my reason. Ryan smiled. Then he kissed me again, soft and sweet and full of promise. We fell asleep on the couch together, his head on my chest, my arms around him. No bond marks, no claiming bites, just two people choosing each other against the world. The summit was in 2 days. We were ready. The summit hall looked like a cathedral to alpha supremacy. Marble columns, gold fixtures, banners displaying the emblems of the most powerful families. 200 alphas filled the seats, radiating confidence and privilege. A handful of betas were scattered among them, assistants mainly. No omegas. They were never invited to summit. Until today. I walked in with Ryan beside me. Every head turned. The whispers started immediately. Is that Kalen Voss? He brought an omega, unclaimed, to summit. Has he lost his mind? My father sat in the front row, his face carved from ice. Our eyes met. His expression promised retribution. I kept walking, Ryan's hand in mine. We took seats near the back. The alphas around us shifted away, leaving empty chairs like we carried disease. The summit director, an ancient alpha named Corvus, approached the podium. Gentlemen, we have a disruption. Kalen Voss has brought an unauthorized omega to summit. This violates every protocol. I have the right to bring a guest, I called out, standing. Summit rules allow 1 guest per alpha. They don't specify designation. Corvus's eyes narrowed. The rules assume civilized behavior. Bringing an unclaimed omega to a gathering of alphas is provocative. Only if you view omegas as temptations instead of people, I replied. Shocked murmurs rippled through the crowd. You didn't challenge the summit director directly. This omega is my guest and under my protection, I continued. Anyone who touches him answers to me. Alpha posturing, technically, but necessary. These alphas only understood strength. Corvus studied me. Very well. The omega may stay, but any disruption and you'll both be removed. Understood. We sat down. Ryan's hand trembled in mine. That was terrifying, he whispered. Just beginning, I whispered back. The summit started with typical business, trade agreements, territory disputes, discussions about maintaining alpha control over key industries. Boring, bureaucratic, the machinery of oppression grinding on. Then came speeches. Various alphas took the podium to discuss their visions for the future. All the same theme: preserving tradition, maintaining order, keeping omegas in their place. My father stood to speak. Our society functions because each designation knows its role. Alphas lead, betas support, omegas follow. This natural order has maintained peace for generations. Any attempt to disrupt it threatens chaos. He looked directly at me. Some young alphas, influenced by modern sentimentality, believe we should change ancient wisdom. They don't understand that kindness without strength is weakness. That equality for omegas means diminishment for alphas. Applause erupted. Alphas stood, cheering my father's words. He smiled, triumphant. Any other speakers? Corvus asked. I stood. I have something to say. Silence fell. My father's smile vanished. Sit down, boy, Corvus warned. I have the right to speak. Summit rules allow any alpha to address the assembly once per summit. I moved toward the aisle. I'm exercising that right. Corvus looked ready to argue, but technically I was correct. He gestured curtly. 5 minutes. Then you're done. I walked to the podium, Ryan following despite the shocked gasps. We stood together facing 200 hostile alphas. My name is Kalen Voss, I began. And everything you believe about omegas is a lie. The room exploded. Shouting, protests, several alphas standing angrily. Corvus banged his gavel. Order. Let him speak. You believe omegas are naturally submissive, that biology makes them suited for nothing but childbearing and support, that alphas are naturally dominant, stronger, meant to lead. I pulled out my tablet, connecting it to the hall's display system. Here's 30 years of research proving otherwise. Dr. Chen's research filled the massive screens. Brain scans, hormone analyses, genetic studies. This research, conducted by Dr. Yuki Chen and replicated by independent labs worldwide, shows that the biological hierarchy is manufactured. Omega brain structure is identical to alpha brain structure. The only difference is exposure to artificial hormones during development. Lies! Someone shouted. See for yourself. I'm sending this data to every tablet in this room right now. I pressed send. 200 tablets buzzed simultaneously. Read it. Check the methodology. The evidence is irrefutable. My father stood. This is a farce. That research was discredited. By you. After you destroyed Dr. Chen's lab and had her arrested on false charges. I faced him directly. You couldn't attack the science, so you attacked the scientist. That's how weak your position is. How dare you? I dare because I've seen what our system does. I gestured to Ryan. This is Ryan. He's 23. Intelligent, artistic, kind. He dreams of studying art. But he can't because he's an Omega. He's been sold to pay family debts, forced through heats without proper medical care, threatened with assault by alphas who think they own him. Ryan stood straighter, meeting the hostile gazes without flinching. Your system did that, I continued. Your laws, your traditions, your beliefs about natural order. You created suffering and called it destiny. One Omega's complaint doesn't invalidate generations of successful social structure. Another Alpha argued. It's not one Omega. It's millions. I pulled up more data. Omega life expectancy is 15 years shorter than Alpha life expectancy. Omega suicide rates are 8 times higher. 70% of Omegas report physical abuse from Alphas. These aren't opinions. These are statistics. The room had gone very quiet. Some Alphas actually looked at their tablets, reading. You're afraid, I said. Afraid that if Omegas are equal, you'll lose power. And you're right. You will lose power. But you'll gain something better. You'll gain a society that doesn't require brutality to function. Partnerships instead of ownership. Respect instead of fear. Pretty words, Corvus said. But impractical. Remove hierarchies and society collapses. Does it? Or have we just told ourselves that lie for so long we believe it? I looked around the room. How many of you have Omega children? Omega siblings? How many of you secretly question whether the way we treat them is right? A few Alphas shifted uncomfortably. Change is possible. Change is necessary. The question is whether you'll choose it voluntarily or whether history will force it on you. I powered down the tablet. That's all I have to say. I stepped away from the podium. The room stayed silent for a long moment. Then my father stood. Guards. Remove them both. Security guards moved in. But before they reached us, someone unexpected stood. Wait. It was Darius Silverstone, one of the most powerful Alphas in the country. I want to read this research properly. The boy makes disturbing claims. But if the science is sound, the science is fabricated, my father insisted. Then you won't mind us verifying it. Another Alpha stood, Counselor Thorne, head of the medical commission. I'll convene an independent panel to review Dr. Chen's work. If it's fraudulent, we'll expose it. If it's legitimate. He trailed off. The implication hung heavy. Corvus looked frustrated but nodded. Very well. The panel will review and report back next summit. Until then, this assembly is dismissed. Alphas began filing out, many still reading their tablets. I saw arguments breaking out, heated discussions. We'd planted seeds of doubt at least. My father approached, fury radiating off him. You've signed your death warrant. Maybe, but I'll die knowing I tried. You'll die alone, disgraced, forgotten. Father's eyes moved to Ryan. And your Omega pet will suffer everything I promised and worse. Try it, I said quietly. Touch him and every media outlet in the country will know. I've sent evidence to 20 journalists. You can't silence everyone. Father's jaw clenched. Then he turned and walked away, his guards following. Ryan exhaled slowly. Is it over? No, but it's a start. I looked at him. You were incredible up there. I was terrified. So was I. But we did it together. We left the summit hall hand in hand. Outside, a crowd had gathered, omegas, betas, even a few alphas. They'd watched the summit on public broadcast. One omega, a young woman, approached hesitantly. Thank you for saying what we couldn't. Others echoed her. Suddenly we were surrounded by people thanking us, sharing their stories, their hope. Change is coming, an older beta man said. Maybe not today, but you started something. We spent an hour talking to the crowd. Then exhaustion hit and we headed back to my apartment. The moment the door closed, Ryan collapsed against me. We actually did it, he whispered. We did. What happens now? I don't know. Father will retaliate. The panel might reject the research. Most alphas will probably ignore everything I said. I tilted Ryan's face up, meeting his eyes. But some will listen, and that's enough to start changing things. Ryan kissed me then, fierce and desperate. Promise me something. Anything. Whatever happens next. Whether we win or lose, whether the world changes or stays the same. Promise we'll face it together. Together, I agreed. Always. We stayed up that night just holding each other. Tomorrow would bring consequences. Father's revenge, social ostracization, possible legal troubles. But tonight we had each other. And sometimes that's enough to change the world. 3 days after the summit, my bank accounts were frozen. My apartment lease was terminated by the Voss Family Trust. My phone number was disconnected. My father worked quickly and thoroughly to erase me from society. Ryan and I ended up at his grandmother's apartment, a tiny 2-room space that smelled like herbs and old books. Grandmother Chun, no relation to Dr. Chun, was a fierce 70-year-old omega who'd survived more hardship than I could imagine. So you're the alpha causing all this trouble, she said, looking me up and down. You're scrawnier than I expected. Grandmother, Ryan protested. What? I expected someone who'd challenge the entire alpha hierarchy to be more impressive. She poured tea. But you'll do. Anyone who makes my grandson smile like that can stay. The news cycle exploded. Conservative outlets called me a traitor, a disgrace, mentally ill. Progressive outlets hailed me as a hero, though cautiously. Dr. Chun was released from custody after public pressure, and her lab's destruction made headlines. The research panel convened. 3 alphas, 2 betas, 1 carefully chosen omega with medical credentials. They'd take months to review everything. Meanwhile, the Omega Underground Network grew bolder. Elena organized larger protests. Min's shelter expanded. Omegas started speaking up about their experiences, emboldened by what happened at Summit. But the backlash was fierce. Traditional alpha families doubled down. Stricter laws were proposed. Violence against Omega activists increased. You started something, Min told me during one secret meeting. But starting isn't finishing. We need to sustain this momentum. How? Keep speaking. Keep being visible. Show people that an alpha can choose differently and survive. Surviving proved harder than expected. No one would hire me. My education credentials were challenged. Former friends crossed the street to avoid me. Death threats arrived daily. Ryan faced worse. His agency tried to enforce his contract, claiming he owed massive debts. Only public scrutiny prevented them from succeeding. But he lost his coffee shop job after customers complained about being served by that infamous Omega. Money ran out quickly. Grandmother's pension barely covered 3 people. We sold everything we could. I tried to find work, but Voss family influence ran deep. Maybe I should apologize to my father, I said one evening, staring at our empty cupboards. Don't you dare. Ryan grabbed my face. Don't you dare give up now. We're broke. Homeless in a month. Your grandmother's eating less so we can eat more. Then we'll figure something out. We always do. But I was tired. Tired of fighting, tired of failing, tired of dragging down people I cared about. That night, I made a decision. I'd go to my father, apologize, beg for mercy. In exchange, he'd leave Ryan and grandmother alone, give them enough money to survive. I left before dawn while Ryan slept, walked across the city to the Voss mansion. The guards tried to stop me, but I used my old access codes. Father sat in his study, unsurprised. I wondered when you'd come crawling back. I want a deal. Do you? He smiled coldly. What makes you think I want a deal? Because I'm your only son. Your heir. You need me eventually. Did need you. Past tense. Father pulled out a document. I've begun adoption proceedings. Marcus Chen, son of the Silverstone family's branch line. He'll become a Voss, inherit everything, carry on properly. My heart sank. You're replacing me. You replaced yourself when you chose that Omega over your family. Then what do you want? Why let me in if? To see you broken. Father leaned back. You thought you could change the world with one speech? Pathetic. Real power isn't in words. It's in control. Money. Influence. All the things you threw away. I threw away corruption. You threw away everything. His fist hit the desk. I gave you privilege, status, a future most people can only dream of. And you spat on it for what? For Omegas who'll never appreciate it? For a system that was working fine. It wasn't working. It was crushing people. Weak people. Evolution has winners and losers. Alphas won. There's no winning in evolution. That's not how it works. Father stood, moving around the desk. Here's what happens next. You leave this city. Take your Omega and his grandmother far away. Live quietly. I'll stop actively destroying you. But if you ever speak publicly again, if you ever challenge Alpha authority, I'll ensure that Omega suffers every degradation our laws allow. That's your deal? Run away and hide. Or stay and watch everyone you love get hurt. Your choice. I thought of Ryan, sleeping peacefully at his grandmother's apartment. Thought of Elena, Min, Taro, all the people who'd risked everything to help. Thought of Dr. Chen's destroyed research, the panel that might vindicate everything. I need time to think. You have 24 hours. I left the mansion as the sun rose. Walked back slowly, mind spinning. Running away meant abandoning the fight. Staying meant everyone I loved paid the price. When I reached the apartment, Ryan was awake. He took one look at my face and knew. You went to see him? Yes. What did he offer? I told him everything. Ryan listened silently, his expression unreadable. So we run away, Ryan said finally. Hide somewhere. Live quietly. I'm sorry. I tried to change things. But... Stop. Ryan cupped my face. You did change things. That speech is being shared everywhere. Young Omegas are quoting it. Alphas are questioning traditions. You started a conversation that won't stop just because you leave. But you'll suffer if I stay. I'll suffer if you give up. Ryan's eyes blazed. You think I need protecting? I'm an Omega. I've been surviving Alpha cruelty my whole life. What I need is for you to keep fighting. Keep being the Alpha who chose differently. Ryan. Besides. He smiled. I have a plan. Over the next hour, Ryan explained. We'd go public. Really public. Tell our entire story, the summit speech, my father's threats, the systemic oppression Omegas faced. Make it impossible for my father to retaliate without looking like exactly the villain we claimed Alphas could be. It's risky, I said. Everything's risky, but silence is riskier. Grandmother agreed. So did Elena, Min, even Dr. Chun when we contacted her. They helped us prepare a video statement, reaching out to sympathetic journalists. 24 hours later, instead of running, we posted our story everywhere. Video, text, evidence. I spoke about my journey from privileged alpha to activist. Ryan shared his experiences as an Omega in a brutal system. We named names, exposed corruption, laid everything bare. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Conservative outlets called for our arrests. Progressive outlets praised our bravery. The story went viral globally. Suddenly, the whole world was watching. My father called, apoplectic with rage. You've destroyed any chance of reconciliation. Good. I don't want reconciliation with a system built on cruelty. Then you'll face the consequences. So will you. The whole world knows what you threaten now. Touch us and prove everything we said about alpha corruption. For once, my father had no response. He hung up. The research panel accelerated their timeline, pressured by public interest. 3 weeks later, they released preliminary findings. Dr. Chen's research was sound. The biological hierarchy had no scientific basis. The announcement shocked the world. Some alphas doubled down, claiming the panel was compromised. But others began questioning. Slowly, painfully, change started happening. New laws were proposed. Omega rights organizations gained traction. Activists grew bolder. And at the center of it all, Ryan and I kept telling our story. It wasn't easy. We still struggled financially. Threats continued. My father never forgave me. But we had each other. We had a cause. We had hope. 6 months after the summit, Ryan enrolled in art school on a scholarship for Omega students. A scholarship that hadn't existed before our speech. He thrived there, his talent finally getting recognition. I started working with Elena's organization, helping Omegas escape bad situations, providing education and resources. The work was hard but fulfilling. And through it all, Ryan and I grew closer. Not bonded, we both rejected that tradition but committed. Partners in every way that mattered. One night, lying in our new tiny apartment, funded by speaking fees and donations, Ryan turned to me. Do you regret it? Everything you gave up? No. Do you? Never. He kissed me softly. Because we're changing the world. Slowly. Messily. But we're doing it. Together, I said. Always together. The revolution wasn't over. It was just beginning. But we'd proven something important. Change was possible. One person, one choice, one stand could ripple outward. And sometimes that's enough to transform everything. 2 years after the summit, I stood in front of a university lecture hall teaching Introduction to Omega Studies. The class was packed. Alphas, betas, and omegas all learning together. The university had created the program specifically after the research panel's final report fully validated Dr. Chen's work. Dr. Chen herself sat in the back row, auditing my class. At 75, she'd become a celebrity in academic circles. Her research was now required reading at progressive universities worldwide. Professor Voss, a young alpha student, raised his hand. How did you overcome your conditioning? Growing up in a traditional alpha family, how did you learn to see omegas as equals? I smiled. Honestly, I met the right person at the right time. Someone brave enough to trust me when trust had been beaten out of most omegas. Someone who showed me that strength isn't about dominance. It's about choosing kindness even when it costs you. After class, I walked across campus to the art building. Ryan's senior exhibition opened tonight. I'd seen him work on it for months, pouring his experiences into paint and canvas. The gallery was already filling with people when I arrived. Ryan stood near the entrance, wearing a soft blue shirt that made his amber eyes glow. He smiled when he saw me, that same smile that still made my heart race. Nervous? I asked, taking his hand. Terrified. What if people hate it? They won't. It's beautiful. You're brilliant. The exhibition was called Omega Rising. Each piece depicted moments from Omega experiences, some painful, showing the reality of oppression. Others hopeful, showing Omega's learning, creating, leading. The centerpiece was a massive painting titled Heat and Kindness. It showed 2 figures, one clearly alpha, one omega, sitting together in a simple room. The alpha kept distance, offering water. The omega looked surprised, confused, hopeful. The colors shifted from dark corners to light streaming through a window. That's us, I whispered. That first day. The day you chose differently, Ryan agreed. The day everything changed. People moved through the gallery, some moved to tears. I overheard conversations, omegas sharing their stories, alphas admitting they'd never considered omega perspectives. betas discussing how to support equality movements. Elena arrived with her girlfriend, a beta activist. Min and Taro came, their young daughter between them, a toddler who'd grow up in a world slowly becoming more just. Even grandmother made it, pushed in a wheelchair by Dr. Chun. They'd become friends, these two fierce elders who'd survived so much and lived to see change. "Look at all this," grandmother said, gesturing at the crowd. "You boys started something special." "We all did," I said. "Every person who chose courage over comfort." The evening progressed with speeches and congratulations. Ryan sold 6 pieces on opening night, more than enough to cover his tuition for senior year. Later, after everyone left, Ryan and I sat alone in the gallery. Moonlight streamed through tall windows, painting the paintings silver. 2 years ago, I was being sold to pay debts, Ryan said quietly. Today, I'm a working artist with a degree almost finished. How did we get here? One choice at a time. One person standing up, then another, then another. Do you think we won? I considered the question. The world had changed, but not completely. Omega rights laws passed in some regions, failed in others. Discrimination continued, though less openly. The fight was far from over. "I think we're winning," I said finally. "Slowly. It'll take generations to fully dismantle the system. But we proved it's possible." Ryan leaned his head on my shoulder. "What happens next for us? What do you want to happen?" "Graduate. Keep making art. Maybe travel. Show Omegas in other countries that change is possible." He paused. "Stay with you. Build a life that's ours, not defined by anyone else's rules." That sounds perfect. No bonding, though. I still don't trust that tradition. Me neither. But partnership, commitment, choosing each other every day, that I can do. Ryan tilted his face up. "I love you. I should say that more. I love you too. Even though you steal the blankets." He laughed. "You snore. Do not. Do too. But I love you anyway." We kissed, surrounded by paintings of revolution and hope. Outside, the world continued spinning. Some parts changing, some parts clinging to old ways. But in this moment, we had each other. We had a community of people fighting alongside us. We had proof that change was possible. My phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. "I saw your boyfriend's exhibition announcement. You're both an embarrassment to your designation. But my daughter asked me questions after reading about you. Questions I couldn't answer. Maybe that matters more than I want to admit. A father, not my father, but some alpha father somewhere, reconsidering his beliefs because of our story. Look at this," I showed Ryan. He read it, his expression softening. "One mind changed. One mind at a time. It's not enough. No, but it's something." We stayed in the gallery until dawn, talking about the future. Ryan would graduate in 3 months. I'd been offered a position at a new research institute studying Omega rights and social change. Elena was running for city council. Min's shelter had expanded to 3 locations. Change rippled outward. Not a tsunami. A series of small waves, each one pushing the tide a little further. "I used to think I'd die young," Ryan admitted as the sun rose. "That most Omegas do, either from violence or despair or just giving up. But now I think I might actually have a future. That's because of you. It's because of you too. You were brave enough to trust me, to stand beside me at Summit, to keep fighting when it would have been easier to hide. We saved each other," Ryan said simply. And that was the truth of it. Not Alpha saving Omega. Not one person rescuing another. Just 2 people choosing to see each other as equals, as partners, as something more than their designations. That night, we had dinner with all our friends. Grandmother, Dr. Chun, Elena and her girlfriend, Min and Taro and their daughter. We crowded into our small apartment, eating takeout and sharing stories. "Tell us again about the summit," Dr. Chen's girlfriend asked. She was younger, a beta journalist who'd covered our story. "Which part?" I asked. "The part where you faced down 200 alphas with nothing but research and audacity." So we told the story again. It never got old, how terrified we'd been, how certain we'd fail, how the world shifted anyway. You know what the best part is? Elena said. Kids now grow up knowing that story. They learn that one person really can make a difference. That standing up matters. 2 people, Ryan corrected. Always 2 people. Together. I squeezed his hand. Together. The evening ended with grandmother falling asleep in her chair. Dr. Chun beside her, the 2 old friends who'd survived everything. We covered them with blankets and let them rest. Later, alone in our bedroom, Ryan asked, "Do you ever wonder what would have happened if you'd stayed the villain? If you'd been the Kalen everyone expected?" I thought about the novel I'd read in another life. The cruel Alpha, the suffering Omega, the dark story that took hundreds of chapters to find light. That story where Kalen died alone and hated. No, I said honestly, because I'm not that person. I was never that person, not really. I just needed the chance to be different. I'm glad you took it. The chance, me too. We fell asleep holding each other. Outside, the city moved through night. Some people clinging to old ways, some people building new ones. The revolution continued, messy and incomplete and absolutely necessary. And somewhere in the darkness, another Alpha made a choice to see Omegas as equals. Another Omega found the courage to speak up. Another Beta stood as an ally. Change happened one choice at a time. We'd made ours. And the world was better for it. Not perfect, not finished, but better. And that was enough. Epilogue, 5 years later. I didn't recognize my reflection anymore. Not because I'd changed physically, but because the person staring back seemed lighter somehow. Happier. You ready? Ryan called from the other room. Almost. We were moving. Our tiny apartment had served us well, but Ryan's art career had taken off. His latest exhibition sold out completely. Combined with my professor salary and royalties from the book I'd written about Omega rights, we could afford something bigger. Not mansion big, just comfortable. The new place had a spare room that Ryan would use as a studio. Large windows for natural light. A small garden where grandmother could grow herbs. She was coming with us, of course. At 75, she'd earned the right to good light and comfortable chairs. Found it. Ryan emerged holding a framed photo. The 2 of us at Summit, me at the podium, him standing beside me. Someone had captured the moment perfectly. Our fear, our determination, our solidarity. Can't believe it's been 5 years, I said. Can't believe we survived 5 years. But we had. More than survived, we'd thrived. The Omega rights movement had grown beyond anything we'd imagined. New laws protected Omegas from trafficking, ensured educational access, criminalized forced bonding. Not everywhere. Not completely. But progress happened. My father never reconciled with me. He disowned me officially, adopted Marcus Chun as his heir. Sometimes I wondered if he regretted it. Mostly, I didn't think about him at all. The family that mattered was the one we'd chosen. Elena and her girlfriend, now wife, Min and Taro and their growing family, Dr. Chan and her partner, grandmother. We gathered weekly, sharing meals and stories and support. Package arrived, Ryan said, bringing in a box. Inside were advanced copies of my second book, The Revolution Continues, 5 years after Summit. It documented the progress made, the challenges remaining, the personal stories of Omegas finding freedom. Ryan's artwork graced the cover. A painting called Breaking Chains. An Omega figure standing tall, traditional binding ropes falling away, light streaming from above. It's beautiful, I breathed. It's true, Ryan replied. That's what we did. We broke chains. Maybe not all of them, but enough that others could break theirs too. My phone rang. Elena, turn on the news. Now. We did. The headline read, National Omega Rights Act passes final vote. The legislation we'd fought for, comprehensive protection for Omegas, enforceable penalties for discrimination, funding for Omega education and healthcare. It had been debated for 3 years, watered down, compromised, but finally passed. We did it, Ryan whispered. It's real. National law. I pulled him close. We did it. The doorbell rang. Elena stood there with a bottle of champagne and the rest of our chosen family behind her. They'd all watched the vote together, rushed over to celebrate. We crowded into our small apartment one last time, toasting to victory and remembering how far we'd come. "Speech," someone called. I laughed. "I'm done with speeches." "Not true," Ryan said. "You give one every semester to your students." "That's different." "Same principle, though." Ryan stood, raising his glass. "To everyone who chose courage over comfort, who stood up when sitting down was easier, who believed that a better world was possible even when it seemed impossible." "To revolution," Elena added. "To each other," Min said. "To choosing love," Taro concluded. We drank, laughed, cried a little. Grandmother dozed in her chair, smiling. Dr. Chun told stories about the old days, when suggesting omega equality could get you killed. "Look how far we've come," she said. "When I started my research 50 years ago, nobody would publish it. Now it's taught in schools. That's the power of persistence." Later, after everyone left, Ryan and I stood on our tiny balcony. The city stretched below us, lights twinkling like promises. "What do you think happens next?" Ryan asked. "More work. The law passes, but implementation takes time. We'll need to fight for funding, for enforcement, for cultural change to catch up with legal change." "That's not what I meant." Ryan turned to face me. "I meant for us. What happens next for us?" I thought about it. We'd spent 5 years fighting, building, creating change. We'd sacrificed comfort, security, traditional success. But we'd gained something invaluable. Purpose, partnership, peace. I think we keep doing what we're doing. Teaching, creating, supporting others who are fighting their own battles. I pulled him closer. Growing old together. Building the life we want rather than the life we're told to want. Kids someday, maybe? Maybe. If you want. I do. Want everything, with you. Ryan kissed me softly. "Thank you." "For what?" "For seeing me that first day. For choosing kindness when cruelty was easier. For holding me gently through that heat and then letting me choose what came next. For being the alpha who broke the mold. Thank you for trusting me. For standing beside me even when it was dangerous. For showing me that strength looks different than I'd been taught." We stood holding each other as the city moved around us. Somewhere out there, another alpha was making the choice to see omegas as equals. Another omega was finding the courage to demand respect. Another person was choosing love over tradition. The revolution we'd started continued, carried forward by thousands of small choices, millions of brave moments. And we got to watch it happen. Together. That night, packing boxes for the move, I found an old journal. My first entries after transmigrating, full of panic and confusion. "I don't know how to be Kalen Voss," one entry read. "Everyone expects me to be a villain. How do I choose differently?" I smiled, adding a new entry. 5 years later, I learned the answer. You choose differently by choosing. Every day, every moment, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. I'm not the Kalen from the novel. I'm the Kalen who met Ryan and decided to be better. The Kalen who stood before alphas and chose truth. The Kalen who builds revolution through small, consistent choices to see omegas as human. And it was enough. Not perfect, not complete, but enough to start changing the world. Maybe that's all anyone can do. Make the choice to be better. Then make it again tomorrow. Ryan read over my shoulder. "Writing your memoirs?" "Just documenting this weird, beautiful journey." It was weird. Still is, actually. He laughed. "We're still figuring it out. We always will be. That's okay. It's perfect." We finished packing as dawn broke. Our new home awaited, bigger, brighter, full of possibility. But the most important things came with us. Our love, our chosen family, our commitment to keep fighting. The revolution continued, and we'd be part of it until our last breath. Together, always together.